Hey, welcome. We are on week 5 of the launch, some business mentoring. And this week we're talking about something that is really, really important to me. I'll explain why here in a few minutes, but I just want to remind you before we get going, the intention behind these 6 weeks are to walk you through the most impactful income producing business building activities through the acronym PIPES. So we're at the end of the acronym today. We talked about preparing, inviting, presenting, enrolling last week. And today we're talking about supporting. I am going to start with this quote as soon as it pops up here. It says, "If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die." Warren Buffett obviously has a few things to say about money, and it's a pretty aggressive quote, but I appreciate the honesty because it's reality. And I am sure that I'm not the only person that knows people in their 50s and 60s and even 70s. My grandma was actually in her late 70s, still working a cleaning job at a department store because she needed the money. And so, because she never found a way to make money while she slept. And so she worked while she was awake, and into her latest years, she worked literally up until she was diagnosed with cancer and passed. And I don't want to live like that. And I don't think that you guys do either. I think that's why you're here, the committing to 6 weeks of mentorship over your lunch hour and doing the work to make this happen. A lot of you are doing it alongside full-time jobs and other jobs and raising children and trying to still be a wife and a sister and sibling, like all the things. I know that it's challenging, and I'm living it day in and day out with you, but I am starting to see the light because I'm creating enough financial freedom for myself that it's in turn creating time freedom. And I remember way back at the very, very beginning of my doTERRA business when I probably had like, I don't know, 20 customers on my team. And I remember laying in bed and getting looking at having to flip to my doTERRA tree, and I saw that someone who I had enrolled someone. And it was the first time where I went, I just made money laying here. And I taught, I can't even remember if I had taught a class for her. Obviously, this was 7 years ago, so long ago. But it was that first realization that I just made money without being directly involved in that sale. And now it's happened dozens and literally probably hundreds and hundreds of times since then, where my customers have gone on and ordered for the month, or my team has enrolled someone or whatever, and doTERRA has paid me. And now my paychecks are at a point where there's no way that the amount of work that I put in could reflect the paycheck. Like, if most people, when they're in a position in their work, the harder they work, the more they get paid, right? And I have found that the more smarter I work, the better I get at my skill, the more I can make, not necessarily the time I put into it. And so that's a really big gift, especially when I have 3 kids that I'm trying to raise and I have all the things I want to do. This week, I got to be in my kids' school. I got to serve lunch to them on Tuesday. And then we had a volcano presentation after that I went to. And then I came back to my office and finished the rest of my work. And it was awesome. It felt so good to be able to do that. Yesterday, I finished up this PowerPoint at the Falls Park with my kids. They were walking around on the rocks where I put together the PowerPoint. Like, that is freedom for me. And so I don't know what you want it to look like in your life. It might look a little bit different, but we've got to find a way to make money while we sleep. And that's the doTERRA compensation plan. So I'm not going to explain the comp plan to you, but I think you understand how that works long term. So let's talk about how we make that a reality. And what's important to understand is that the first part of this PIPES acronym, presenting, inviting, preparing, inviting, presenting, enrolling, all of that is short-term financial support. The only residual income that's built into PIPES is in support. It's getting your customers excited about their oils, familiar with the loyalty rewards program, and curious about the business, and then rinsing and repeating that with every single customer. So some of us, like when we're first or early on in the business, all we think about is the fast start bonus, right? Getting paid that 20% when someone enrolls. And I understand why that is, because it's the largest part of your paycheck. For some of you who have very small teams, it's really the only part of your paycheck initially. And so we get really hyper focused on finding new people and enrolling them, and you should. Okay, I don't want to I don't want to be unclear here. You have to do that because you have to have teammates to be able to have residual income long term. But if we enroll a bunch of people and we're at the top of the enroller board every single month, that's cool. And you'll probably get some recognition and applause, and you may even rank advance doing that, but you won't have this long-term residual income when your customers are not on LRP, they're not sharing with their friends, they're not starting their own business. It just won't happen. And so without tooting my own horn, I just know that doTERRA has been a challenging place to grow quickly in the last couple of years because of lots of world events. And a lot of doTERRA diamonds and blue diamonds and Prez have actually dropped in their rank significantly, some even 2 ranks because of the challenging times that we're in. And our team hasn't. Like we're still a solid diamond team every single month. And I am going to say that it's because I have figured out support and I've taken it really stinking seriously in my business. And I understand that the effort that I put into support doesn't return me a fast start check right away, typically, although you do have the first 60 days to get 20% back. It's very long-term vision kind of work. And so, it's pipeline work. You've heard that story, right? About the buckets versus pipelines, and how when that pipe, when he's building that pipeline, he's still carrying the buckets to make the everyday money, right? The money to pay his bills. But eventually he gets to walk away from carrying buckets because the pipeline turns on. And so when you're carrying the buckets, it's freaking exhausting, right? Because you're doing 2 things at once. And so when you invest time over here, it feels fruitless initially because this is what's paying you the most. And I see people that struggle in doTERRA and actually go back to a job because they're like, well, this pays me faster and more. And it's true. And I mean, sometimes there just is a requirement for life to do that. But knowing that this over here, the residual income, is really where the time and financial freedom come from. If you can force yourself to stay focused on that goal, I can tell you from experience that it pays off. Okay, I'm getting a little further into that I wanted to, but I felt like I needed to preface how important this part is. So the overall goal with the S of pipes is helping your customers take 1 step forward each time you connect. And so there's 2 parts to this. The first is the step forward. That's what you're thinking every time you're interacting with a customer. How can I help them take the step forward? But the other part of it is the one step forward. And so often I put so much pressure on myself in each of these steps to almost word vomit all over the people I'm in front of, because in my mind, I'm thinking that, like, I'm not letting myself believe that there will be multiple other opportunities to move them forward. And so I try to take more than 1 step at a time. And so when you're thinking about these steps, these are just suggested steps. These don't have to be the way that you do it, but you're thinking, let's take 1 step forward each time. It doesn't have to be multiple. Let them determine the pace that they go at. But these things need to appear in your business at some point. So the first is a welcome series. Series is a pretty intense word. It doesn't have to be anything like structured, but having a way to welcome them to your team. Maybe you send a welcome email. Maybe you send them a text that say, hey, I see that your order processed or that it shipped. I'm so excited. Whatever. Maybe you have a newsletter. Maybe you pop a postcard in the mail. Maybe you have, maybe you plug them into the Facebook group that we are a part of through the LDC. There are guides and units there that walk them through all of the things. So that might be all it is. A welcome gift, again, isn't a required thing, but it's something that I have adopted and really love, being able to gift them with something to say, hey, I'm so glad you got started with me, and really showing them that I am committed to helping them use their oils and get results. And lots of times it's very inexpensive stuff. It might be little samples. It might be empty roller balls. I'm not looking to buy them things they can buy on their doTERRA account. I want to give them what can be purchased elsewhere, but can help them use their oils faster and more efficiently. So like it could even just be little postcards that have your favorite diffuser blends printed out on them, or a safety, like how to dilute oils or how to make a roller ball or whatever it is. So, and then membership overview, this has to be starred in your list. Everyone has to have a membership overview. It can be called a wellness consult. It can be called a membership overview. It can be called a lifestyle overview, whatever you want to call it. But it's how to use the oils they got, how to do it safely. They have to learn about the loyalty rewards program. You're crazy if you don't teach all of your people about the loyalty rewards program. That's how we make our residual money. And then reviewing all the resources available to them as a customer. So that might be the Facebook page, that might be the oil camps. I have a list of this coming up. And then continuing education. It doesn't have to be the continuing education series that we've done on our team before. It might just be a way to continually educate them. And maybe it's something that you're going to email them every month, or maybe it's something you're going to text them every week, or maybe it actually is a class every month that has a theme. Maybe you have a theme for the year or a theme for the month, or something that you're excited about. Whatever is in your wheelhouse, whatever you love about doTERRA, whatever it's changed for you, that's where you want to plug your customers into, because that's where you'll be most authentic. And then providing recommendations. I feel like I can't let my customer walk away without a book. I feel like every dollar that I invest in the Essential Life, I was going to pull it up over here, the Essential Life book or the Symphony of Cells book, it pays me back tenfold. The Symphony of Cells is literally an LRP list for months, right? Because that's how I did it. I wanted every oil in every protocol. So here's month 1, here's month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5. This is an LRP wish list. And so I love that resource. The Essential Life book, they're going to get in here in the beginning and start flipping through all those oils, and they're going to see all of these diagnosed terms that they have no idea that blue tansy can help with skin infection, and they're going to look it up and potentially put it in their order. So they just have to have an access to a book. Maybe you have a book that you lend out for a few weeks and then ask for it back so they can get a taste of it before they know they want to buy one. Maybe you offer them at a discount. Maybe you order them in bulk. Maybe you just sell them. I don't know, or maybe you just send them the link where they can buy them. But I definitely think they need to be provided learning recommendations. The Living magazine is very inexpensive. If you buy a Class in the Box book, Class in the Box, that's what it's called. I don't have it up here anymore, but they get those there. I think they actually get one when they enroll now with a $35 fee. So the ebooks, the doTERRA blog, oh man, there's so much there. And then helping them stay connected, keeping track of when you follow up, and maybe even their birthday. Like, you want to nurture the relationship so they feel connected to you. So here are some of the ways that we can help them feel the community. I like this quote at the bottom. It says, the power of community to create health is far greater than any physician, clinic, or hospital. Amen. Right. And so that's one of the values that we have on Team ADIO and the LDC, is that we believe that the best health transformation and the best business growth will happen within community. And I hope you guys have experienced that. That's why so many of us stick around even when it's hard in the business, because we have this network of people that we're doing it with. And that's what we want for people who are in the doTERRA oil world, just as customers too. We want them sticking around even when they maybe struggle to get results here, or life gets busy or whatever. We want them to feel like, hey, I'm a part of something that matters. And so we do that really well through these things. Oil Camp, the Reflect, Reset, Radiate Cleanse. It happens twice a year. We do continuing ed series, although I haven't done one in a long time, but there are ones that happen. I know one of my leaders just finished her continuing ed series for her team. Customer appreciation events. Those are things you just put on yourself and you make them look however you want, big or small. doTERRA has corporate events every year. They're going to be here locally in Sioux Falls in October. They come all over the states, typically in the spring and the fall. And then there's always convention, right? And then I tucked in make and takes there. I really have found that young people, not young in age, young in oily world, the oily youngins love make and takes. And sometimes those that have been around for a long time do too, but they like feeling like they bought this thing and now they can use it for a million different ways. And so make and takes allow them to do that. If you didn't know, some of us, maybe you're like me and you feel like you don't have the energy for more friends and more love and more connection. I just feel a little tapped out sometimes raising kids. So when you feel this, then you can get to pull out your cinnamon and your cassia and your passion. Those oils help remind you that you do care about people and that you do have a desire to connect. So wanted you to know that. I had a little oil tip for you every week, and so I had to pull that one for you. Now, this is so important. The frequency in which you share the business opportunity will directly relate to the speed at which your business grows. So, can you grow your business without sharing the business? 100%. You can find lots and lots of wholesale customers, and you need to find wholesale customers. But if you want your business to grow at exponential speed, then you need to be talking about the business, sharing the opportunity, and then you let them decide. It doesn't mean that everybody is going to join with you, but it means that they got a choice whether or not they wanted to. And that's really, really important. So here's a few tips if you struggle sharing the business. My first is to rely on stories of others until you have yours. None of you are making $10,000 a month in doTERRA, as far as I know. I don't know who will watch this recording, but you probably aren't in a launch series. If you are, you're probably teaching it. And so you need to rely on the stories of others until you have yours. Eventually you will be. You stick with this long enough, you get a hold of this pipes action and you keep moving. I promise you, there is no special secret sauce. It is just consistency of the right business activities over and over and over, continually skilling up so you can get better and better over a length of time. And so rely on the stories of others. Maybe it's even simple stories like one of my leaders in her first few years of the business saved enough money to be able to buy a new car for her family without, taking out a loan. So that was a big deal. And that's sometimes what motivates other people. Sharing stories of the business, just like we share stories of the oil testimonies, is really important. Tracking your income so you can be conscious of what this business provides you. Looks like I got a little error there. What this business provides even early on. And so a lot of times I hear people who are starting out in the business saying, I'm not making any money in doTERRA. And I know doTERRA is sending them a check every month. So sometimes it's getting direct deposited in our account, which is so handy, right? But we then turn it back into spending on oils and reminding ourselves doTERRA only requires 100 PV orders. So at what point was your oil order paid off? That 100 PV, probably faster than you thought, but you wouldn't know that unless it was tracked. So if I had to try to remember how much I was making early on in doTERRA, I would think it was like nothing. But when I look back, I was just relaying this to someone who was talking to me about the rank of elite and how little they felt they were making. And I was like, I never made less than $300 a month as an elite. And $300, I mean, I think that's all my oil orders every single month. And then a little bit extra to go towards a loan or a bill. I think that's actually pretty remarkable. And I only stayed at that rank for a few months. So I was able to move on from there, but I wouldn't know that. And I wouldn't be able to deliver it confidently if I didn't have that written down. So I want you to know that free product is a big deal. So if all you're doing right now is paying for your oils order, or maybe that's your goal, then I just want you to know every customer that I've ever met is interested in that. Not everyone wants to do the action that allows them to have that benefit. But if I asked any customer on my team, hey, if you could have a free doTERRA order every month, how would you feel about that? They would be like, yes, please. So just know that even helping people earn enough to pay for their oils is enough. And so you don't have to be super far in this business to have confidence in what it can offer. And then remember, this kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm saying, remembering that most people don't need diamond income to have a life change. For a lot of people, and I know this because I talk with them, I do three-way calls with all of your prospects, and they tell me that between 500 to 1,000, the highest I've really ever heard was $2,000 a month would change everything. It wouldn't be the end all. Like obviously they would love to make more than that, and then they could do even more. But if they just had an extra $500 coming in or $1,000 coming in, like that would take so much pressure off, and life would feel different. And so there's no Silver and Premier on my team making less than $500 a month. They're making much more than that. And Premier and Silver is not a hard place to get if you can find 2 to 3 people that you want to partner with in this business and you're committed to the pipes action. In fact, you can do it in 6 to 12 months. So I want you to know that as you're sharing the business, and you can share that confidently with people. Here is one of the last things for supporting. I said that your LRPs on your team are going to be the source of your residual income. And so you have to get really, really confident and comfortable and clear. 3 C's: confident, comfortable, clear, on talking about the membership of doTERRA and loyalty rewards program. So I encourage everyone who's starting out, please sit down and make a list of all the perks of your membership. Like, what are they? How many can you come up with? I think one of them is that you have a diamond upline who's supportive of you and is doing mentorship. Like, there, you would not have had access to that without a doTERRA account. Loyalty rewards program is a perk. The oil camp is a perk. BOGOs, having access to BOGOs, getting a monthly email from doTERRA with the promos. It could be as little as that is a perk, staying in the loop with what doTERRA has going on. So many things are the perks of the membership. And then what are the perks of LRP, and what products are you purchasing there that you likely could purchase elsewhere, but at 30% back, it doesn't make any sense. And so here's a list. This is available on our Facebook page, the LDC, if you want to pull it up. But all of the products that people are typically using on a daily basis and what the doTERRA swap or doTERRA equivalent would be. Most people are using a hand and body lotion. Why wouldn't they get theirs from doTERRA, right? Everyone's using laundry detergent, so why not order yours from doTERRA? And so some people feel like I don't want to ask them to spend more money every month. And that's why I feel nervous about LRP. And so I'm telling you, go through the things that are in your house that you could be buying from doTERRA and getting 30% back instead of Target and Walmart and Amazon, and see how much they would actually have to spend extra to have doTERRA loyalty rewards program. It's not very much. And at 30% back, it's always less. Amazon doesn't give me 30% back. Target gives me like what, 1% back? I mean, it's almost laughable. So, you have to get really familiar with this. So if you can't explain the loyalty rewards program in 2 to 3 minutes without stumbling over your words, you have to figure that out, because it needs to sound like this is not a big deal. This is something that all of your customers love, and there's really no strings attached. It's the best way to purchase doTERRA going forward. I always say, no matter if you're on a budget or you don't have a budget, the rewards program makes sense for you, because if you're on a budget and you have a growing wish list of doTERRA, then you need to have it prioritized. $50 a month is going here and no more, but it's going to help you move along this percentage back so that you can get to 30% back as fast as possible. If you're not on a budget, then oh my goodness, why wouldn't you be on the rewards program? Because every time you order, you're getting free money back, and you can gift that to other people by buying gifts or however you want to do that. But it's just an awesome opportunity. Okay, here's the last thing I'm going to finish with, because next week we're only going to talk about placements, and so I won't have any self-development. So this is the last thing that I want you to consider. If you've never done Clifton's Strength Finders evaluation, I really think you should. It's one of my favorite self-evaluations. I know there's a lot of them out there, but Clifton's is actually partnered with doTERRA. And so on the Empowered Success pages on the doTERRA website, you can actually find videos made specifically for each strength that will come up in your testing, and how it relates to your doTERRA business, what your challenges might be having this strength, and what the positives would be, and what you can focus on. And so I really think you should learn about your strengths and utilize others in your network where it doesn't come naturally. We're not all good at the same things. And so we have to utilize other people. If you're not great about sharing the business, then you need to find someone else that is, maybe me, and get them in front of that person until you become better, or maybe not. Maybe they always are that resource for you because it just doesn't come naturally to you. But it's amazing what I have skilled up on since being a part of doTERRA. So this is not a link that I'm going to be able to click for you, is it? But I can get that for you if you search gallup.com and go to Clifton Strengths or Clifton Strengths quiz. It'll give you all the options there. It's just $20 for those top 5 strengths. And then if you send them to me, I'll be able to help you kind of better analyze them a little bit too, because I'm familiar. You can actually download the Strengths app. It's a little, maybe it's actually called Gallup. It's a little G. It's called Gallup Access. So you can look in your app store for Gallup Access, and then send it to me. I'll show you my top 5 strengths. Maybe these won't surprise you. Number 1 is activator. I like to help people move forward, take the next best step of action forward. Is it going to let me look at mine? Relator is number 2, meaning that I enjoy close relationships with a small amount of people. And so I find deep satisfaction in working with them to achieve a goal. I think that's why I've created such a community between my qualifiers and me in this business. And they feel like, hey, we're arm in arm moving forward. My 3rd is strategic. That's why I'm going to do a call on placements next week. And I'm going to flex my strategic strength, helping spot patterns and issues and creating alternative ways to proceed. Belief is number 4. I've talked about that a lot before, that I have core values that are unchanging for me. That's why I get intense when I'm on calls, because I believe something so deeply. But that also, I've talked about the value of transferring belief, especially in inviting and presenting. And that's really helped me. And then responsibility. That's why I show up here every Wednesday at 1:00, and I've already got my PowerPoint done. I take what I commit to seriously. And so you have some of those strengths. There's 34 of them. You might not have all of them that are the same as mine. In fact, I know you don't, but because that the statistical probability of that is like less than 1%, but you all have your own unique strengths. So here's what I want you working on this week. Decide what you want to give your enrollments as a welcome gift, and then put together some packets or get things ordered that you would need to be able to do that. Determining your checklist for onboarding customers. It might look like mine with those 5 and 6 steps, but it might look different. And then talking with your enroller or your most supportive upline to put a continuing education program in place. Program, again, is a big word. It doesn't have to be anything fancy with graphics or anything, but how are you going to support your customers as you enroll them over the next 6 months? Please don't just rely on everything that's provided from above. Although it's helpful, it doesn't come directly from you. It's not as easy to get excited about, right? Because your heart and soul isn't behind it. And then get all the oil camp and business camp dates in your calendar. I think you're familiar with my calendar. That's where you'll find them all. Make sure that you know when they are. I wish I would have had time to look up the statistics of people that are in oil camp and that get on LRP, but I want to guess it's high 70 to 80% of people that are on oil camp get on LRP, and oftentimes their first few orders are over 125 PV. I've seen it many, many, many times. So I'm excited for you. I want you to, here's your challenge. Practice explaining LRP to someone cross-line or in your downline. You have to get really fluid and confident in your ability to explain it to do well. I think that's it. Yes. So we're at the end of the acronym, but I think the most important thing that I could teach you before we finish up is where to place your customers after you enroll them, because there is so much strategy in this business and you don't know any of it when you're first starting out. So you get to rely on my experience and my opinions. I'll share those with you next week. All right. Thank you for being here.